One more outburst like that, and you will all go to jail.
I apologize, Your Honor.
I apologize, Your Honor.
Where's she at? Yo, she in the crib,
You wanna sit more on my living room floor, play Nintendo with seasoning low. Pick up my phone, say Papa not home. Sex all night, bad head in the morning. Spin my weed, smoke all my weed.
In the old days of King Arthur, the land was filled with the fairy folk. The elf queen and all of her companions often danced upon the green meadows. This is what I heard, but the fairies are here no longer. Now the great church stands in every land with its prayers and friars in each hallway, chamber, kitchen, and bedroom.
This King Arthur was a patron to a lustful knight who one day came upon a maiden by the river. Against her pleas, he stole her virginity and left her despondent. His heinous act caused such a stir that the good King Arthur was inclined to execute him. If he was able to solve the query of what woman desired most, in a year and a day the queen would pardon him, and so the knight set off on his journey. Very quickly the knight became discouraged. In no country could he find two people that agreed on this matter. Some said that woman most desired clothing, others desired honor. Few said woman desired to be wed and widowed. Some say women want to be thought of as secret holders, but this is just silly. Women can't hold anything in. In Ovid's tale, for example, King Midas grew donkey ears and he told his most trusted companion, his wife. She did not want to betray his trust, but she could feel the secret boiling inside of her. One day she rushed down to the river, her insides feeling on the brink of combustion, and knelt down to the river. "O river, do not betray me. I must tell you something or I will surely explode." Midas' wife leaned down and whispered the secret into the river. Relieved, she set back for home. Now our knight saw that he would never find the answer and started traveling back to the queen. With sorrow in his heart, he began the journey and came across a clearing in the woods. He saw a group of women dancing among the leaves, and he approached hopefully, thinking he might find the answer to his question. The woman disappeared, and an ugly old woman was left behind. The knight told her his problem, and she told him, "Knight, I will tell you the answer you seek, but you must do whatever task I wish for." The knight agrees, and the old woman leans in and whispers his salvations. Knight arrives at the queen's court and tells her that he has found the answer. The thing that women want most is sovereignty in marriage and love, to have power over their husbands. None of the women in the court objected, and the queen agreed to pardon him. Suddenly, the old woman ambled up to the knight and tells the court she is responsible for the answer and that the knight owed her a favor. She requests that he marry her. Unwillingly, he accepts. The old woman and the knight are wed and taken to bed. The knight refuses to touch the old woman, and she asks him why. She will fix his worries if she can. The knight tells her that she is too old, ugly, poor, and of low social standing. The wife gives a speech about how gentility comes from God and your actions, not from who you were born from. Would you rather have a wife who is ugly and faithful or beautiful and disloyal? The knight thinks for a moment and decides to let his wife decide. Choose what pleasures you most. The wife is pleased and wants to reward him. She turns into a young, beautiful lady. "I will give you the best of both worlds. Wow, she is so pretty. Everyone tell her she's so pretty." The knight and his wife kiss, and they live happily ever after. Mwah! Hi, welcome to our history segment. Today we'll be talking about the Code of Chivalry. The Code of Chivalry was a moral system which went beyond rules of combat and introduced the concept of chivalrous conduct. Knights must exempt qualities such as behavior, courtesy, honor, and great respect towards women. Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine passed the code in the 12th century, and that influenced writing in the Middle Ages for authors like Chaucer. Eleanor married Henry II and had a lot of political influence on Britain and France. Over time, knighthood became less and less tied to warfare and increasingly indicated social status. Chivalry was important to our protagonist and the king because it was the one guideline that could restrict the both of them. Thank you.
The wife of Bath is an older woman who is no longer beautiful. She is quite strong and muscular, especially compared to the other women who are also on the journey. She is wearing gaudy clothing that is well made because of her seamstress position. One of her garments is red, displaying that she is somewhat wealthy. She is wearing a large hat as wide as a small shield or buckler. She has a tooth gap, which represents a connection to Venus or having a sexual nature, and also wide hips.
Certain factors of the wife's character are revealed through the rhetoric of her tale. Most notably, the wife frequently switches pronouns to we or us when talking about women. This shows that the wife has a very strong connection to her identity as a woman, and this identification is very important to her character, as her tale is focused around the power of woman feminism. Her identity as a woman, and further as a married woman, is what gives her the authority to speak about marriage as opposed to the clerk, which is partly what her tale is about. Another aspect of her character portrayed by her part in the story is that she is very self-important. Her prologue is 3 times as long as her tale, showing a certain pride and arrogance in her, that she believes her life story is more important than or just as significant as her tale in the context of the competition. The Wife of Bath is also very dramatic and superfluous. She enjoys being a storyteller and incorporates a sort of romantic introduction about fairies and the time of King Arthur. Idealism and magic play an important role in her tale, as the knight is given a second chance through the answering of a question, and he finds a wife that can change form magically.
Hi. Today we're going to talk about the things you should have learned if you read The Wife of Bath Tales, aka the themes. The 3 themes that we have today are equality in relationships, power of women, and nature of gentility. Equality in relationships. After spending a year and a day looking for the answer to what women most desire, he finds out that they want equality in marriages. Isn't that kind of crazy? A woman wants the same sovereignty as her lover. According to the tale, a woman can master her lover, but she must not be below him. Next is power of women. This is represented by how the queen makes the ultimate decision to give the knight a chance to redeem himself rather than beheading him. Another example of this theme is when it's revealed that women want more power in their marriages. The old woman ends up being the one who teaches the knight's lesson, and one of the biggest themes that is in the tale as a whole. She also ends up deciding whether he should marry or be with a woman who is beautiful but unfaithful, or ugly but faithful. The next theme is nature of gentility. Gentility is social supremacy gained by doing good deeds. The Wife of Bath challenges this ideal that you must gain gentility when the knight calls the lovely lady a lowborn, insinuating that she lacks gentility. This brings about the question, can you be born with gentility? The old lady tries to convince the knight of her opinion, which is, yes, you can be born with it. That's it.
Please, I want money. That's
Welcome to our sin segment. Only 2 of the 7 deadly sins are exhibited strongly in the wife's tale. The first is lust. The wife herself is presented as a sexual figure. She speaks very explicitly about sex and her desires. Her tooth gap is also alluded to be a representation of her connection to Venus, which implies a sexual nature. In the wife's tale, the knight rapes a maiden and is presented as a lustful character. He is redeemed instead of punished through the task that the queen sets him on. The wife also presents lust between the knight and his own wife at the end, but does not vilify it. The wife does not seem to believe that lust is truly a major sin. She uses the examples to show that lust is an inevitable part of human nature. Pride is another prominent sin in the story, and again, the wife's character seems to suggest that there is not entirely bad. The wife is a prideful storyteller herself. She doesn't believe women should be meek or obedient to their husbands. In her prologue, she states that women are better at certain things like deception. The wife's pride is what drives her to believe that women and men are equal in marriage. However, in her tale, the wife presents pride as part of the reason why the knight rapes the maiden. The tale states he is filled with narcissism, and this is why he disregards the maiden's rejection. Another negative representation of pride is the knight's unwillingness to love his wife at the end because she is not noble-born. The Wife of Bath teaches the lesson that pride can cause problems, but she doesn't portray it as evil.
Thank you.
Period.
I feel like we should
I think I rushed that.